Hello, Michael.
Hello.
All right, we're going to get started right now. So perfect. I'll let you kick it off.
Excellent. Well, my name is Michael Bloom, and I'm with GSA's Office of Federal High Performance Green Buildings, and I am also the manager of the Sustainable Facilities Tool. And I welcome all of you to this session on the SFTool product search. And I'm joined here today by Paul Shariari. Paul, why don't you introduce yourself?
Great. I'm the co-founder and chief innovation officer at Ecomedes, and I've spent my entire career focused on simplifying sustainability and making it easier for people to make better decisions about the things that go into buildings. So I'm an engineer by training, and I've spent most of my last 10 years focused on building technology and software that makes that decision making easier and more streamlined. So I'm really happy to be joining with Michael today and walk you guys through the tool that we built to support GSA and all federal buyers with SFTool.
Great. And as we launch into this session, essentially what we're going to do is give you an overarching tour of SFTool first, and then jump into product search second, and give you real on-the-ground instructions on how to use the tools we're talking about. But essentially, first we have a poll. And since you can read, I'll just let you read the questions and answer for yourself.
So I'd like to know what role you serve in your organization, how important sustainability is to your work, and then how often do you need to go out and find green data around products. Give you guys a couple minutes. It'll help us frame some of our color commentary during today's presentation. We're going to cover a lot of stuff, so this will help us. Thank you for the great participation.
Yeah, thank you all.
Awesome. We'll give us 10 more seconds and we'll move on. Seems like a lot of you guys have other as a role in the survey, so it would be wonderful if you guys wouldn't mind in chat, if you're willing to just put in whatever that role is, just so we can track that. We're doing some aggregation of all these polls, so it'd be good to know what that is so we can follow back up with you guys and make sure we address those needs as well. So I'm going to end the poll, and you should be seeing the results. Michael, do you guys see the results?
Not yet. Now we can.
All right, awesome.
You're right about other. But we're also knowing that we're talking about something that's very important to most of the people that are here.
Awesome.
Great.
So moving on, I'll let Michael take the rest of the slides here in the introduction.
Excellent. So essentially our goal is to help you all simplify what you need to do if you're working in green procurement and green projects, improve the performance of federal buildings, increase compliance with existing requirements, also go beyond them and show you how you can do that without a lot of extra work, and also streamline documentation for your teams.
Awesome.
Okay, and we're going to cover a lot today. So how do we actually do all of this in one place? What is the green procurement compilation, and how does it help you get a start? How does SFTool product search go beyond that to actually show you products that comply with the lists from the GPC? If you need, by the way, any acronyms unpacked and I don't do it automatically, please put that in the chat. Also, we'll give you the in-depth training that I talked about, telling you how to interact with the system that we're covering today. Okay, next. Okay, so SFTool. SFTool.gov has been around since 2011, and it's not just been a green procurement tool. In fact, it's the Sustainable Facilities Tool. That's what SFTool stands for. So it has a great deal of resources that pull in complex ideas in simple language, so that those of us who are not architects or engineers like Paul, can actually understand what we can do and who we need to pull together on project teams in order to accomplish not only compliance, but really high performance buildings and sustainable procurement. Some of the things that we've done in SFTool recently are a health module that really dives down deeply into how the buildings that we're in can be made to be great places for people and increase our comfort and level of productivity. On the plan section, we even talk about things like cost-effective upgrades. What can you do in the next 10 years that are cost-effective in your building, depending on where it is and how big it is? So a lot of questions that used to have that, what do I do? And the answer would be, it depends. SFTool has the capability to actually get to good answers and tell you what kinds of things you should consider if you're working in these jobs. Also, the Total Workplace Scorecard, a recent innovation of ours that says we need to do a better job of benchmarking where our projects start and showing you where you can go, and by a range of questions that say, what do you have in your building today and how does that score? And then what does your future design look like and how much better is that? And there's a huge component of that that's also health related. Now notice I'm saying health a lot, and a lot of you might say, but what does sustainability and health have to do with one another? Well, if you look at the categories, if you're thinking beyond compliance and just towards what it is that we're doing this for, it's because buildings are for people and products shouldn't make people sick. So avoiding toxic products is great. Also, products that don't degrade the materials that we're using is also sustainable. So there's a lot of integration between durability, upgrades, facilities, and buying sustainable products. If you think just one step further, all those things matter. In the Explore section of SFTool, I'll cover some of these in just a moment. We do material comparisons that really are like a CarMax of materials and buildings. And Procure, the Green Procurement Compilation, that's where we're going to spend most of our time. In Apply, we have case studies, and in Train, we have fantastic tools for facility manager assessment. I'm going to walk through a couple of these to show you what those pages look like in SFTool. Go ahead to the next slide. This is what the Learn section looks like, and this is on the Learn landing page. You see that we organize things by energy, water, health, and other topics. You're seeing the other topic list, and all of those tabs within the picture are also clickable, so you can get more information there. In the plan section, we divide that into overall strategies, project types, and plan for the future. We deal with things from small to medium to large in all kinds of different levels. There are over 3,800 pages of content in SFTool. Now, our job here is to let you know where to go and how easy the tool is, not how overwhelming it can be because it's very large. But it is your one-stop shop for a lot of these things. And a lot of the topics I just talked about, like Total Workplace Scorecard, et cetera, are in that overall strategies bucket. Project types is the data download from the best project managers of when I do projects, regardless of how small, this is what I make sure not to forget. And plan for the future is where the tool is actually dealing with big issues like climate and net zero. Okay, next page. This is the Explore section. It's a very dynamic, interactive, graphic section that actually talks about both building systems, from lighting to planted roofs, and workspaces, basically giving you a cue as if you're walking through a space about all the different sustainable decisions you can make in that space, about material types, and about design. It's excellent on the building systems side for letting you know that lighting isn't just the electric stuff that you put in the ceiling that's plugged in, but it's the color of the walls, it's everything. And it's a great example of how SFTool really looks at the puzzle of sustainability from an integrated design perspective. Multiple perspectives matter, and we need to do a good job of letting people who are not just the professionals, lighting engineers or electricians understand lighting, but also the occupants and the people who have to take care of it. And that's the philosophy that undergirds even the stuff we're doing with green procurement. Okay, next page. This is the Procure section where I'll just gloss over it quickly. This is what the landing page of the products and services below there look like. And we're going to go back to this for the bulk of today's presentation. So the next page. The Apply section is the place where the Interagency Sustainability Workgroup, or ISWG, discussions are housed, but it also has great things like newsletters from all the federal agencies that deal in sustainability that we link to. If you're from a federal agency and you are on this page and you say, we have a great resource too, let us know about it because we'd love to link to it. But yeah, there's a lot of tools, training, policies, strategies, etc. in this page too. Okay, next page. The Facilities Management Institute is a fantastic resource. Essentially, the Congress told GSA that we gave you a lot of money in 2008 and 9. Now take care of those buildings that you built, but to a certain standard, and link your facility managers to the training they need in order to do a great job of managing those new buildings with lots of systems in them. So this is a two-step process that allows agencies and individuals to understand what they need to know and then find those targeted trainings to meet the basic requirements so that they can act. And this is a great resource for professional development for facility managers. Now, I know that's not our main audience today, but most of you are working in agencies that have facility managers that probably love to connect to free training on things that they may or may not know how to do. This is the place for them. And again, that's under the train section. Okay, next page. So back to the GPC, that procure section. I mentioned that it includes both products and services. We are not going to cover the services section deeply today, but it has great sample contract language, resources, additional green requirements you can add to contracts. Great resource. On this page, though, what I want to point out is that it doesn't just give the federal requirements. Under the picture that says SFTool Product Search there at the top, it also covers specific agencies like Department of Defense, DOE Priority Products. GSA's Public Building Service has some key sustainable products for both custodial and construction, and also links to workspaces so you can look at products in what kinds of spaces you would find them in as a cue to what you can purchase that is sustainable. Okay, next page. When you dive down into the products section of the GPC, if you put one page under another, we kind of changed this here just to show you, you get a huge range, 27 different main categories of product types. And what we've done is assemble in the Green Procurement Compilation all of the rules that feds need to follow in order to buy the right thing and be compliant in each of those categories. That's what the GPC is known for. EPA, Department of Energy, and GSA and others got together to figure out how to put all of the content about various different compliance rules and regulations into one place so that people could actually search by category and figure out what rules should they be following. Now, it's great to get that list, and we'll show you that in just a minute, but it still requires people who are actually going to procure something, whether it's an appliance or a cleaning material or a sheet of drywall, a lot of work about how do you get from this list of things that I need to comply with to the actual list of products that meet that standard. And that's what SFTool Product Search does beyond what the GPC does. GPC is where you find the requirements, and SFTool Product Search is where you discover the products that meet them. So let's go to the next page. And this basically is an illustration of what I just said. So we start on the left with the GPC, and we move towards a filtered search of products that comply with the requirements on the right-hand side when we go to SFTool Product Search or sftool.ecomedes.com. So next page. This is an example using floor coverings of what you'd see in the GPC on the left. And we recognize that it's quite tiny with lots of beautiful icons, but what you see on the left-hand side is floor coverings that are not carpet, or floor coverings non-carpet. And underneath there, you start with the biopreferred program that is a federal requirement. And then following that, you have the additional federal environmental programs that we should cover, followed by EPA's specifications, standards, and ecolabels. Just rolls off the tongue. Say it enough so that that very long phrase is like nothing, but I understand that it can be confusing. But EPA basically went in and said, we have standards and ecolabels that, if you use them, actually help us meet the federal environmental program requirements. And so looking for those ecolabels and those logos actually helps consumers buy the right thing. Those are sorted in the list on the left from multi-attribute, those things that consider more than one aspect of the thing, to single attribute down lower on the list. and Paul can help describe the difference between those. But what we've done on the right-hand side is actually use all of those different data sets that come from ecolabels and standards organizations to sort through the universe of products that are in our own federal registries and beyond, and allow you to create a search engine that on the right-hand side is products that comply with at least one of something on the left. And that on its own should save everybody hours of search to help you discover the products. And it also is the only place that actually allows you to search for things that meet multiple different specification standards, ecolabels, and federal environmental programs at the same time, which helps you procure and buy not only something that's compliant, but in many ways get access to data that lets you compare compliant things and pick the best one. So we'll go to the next page. So essentially, this is a summary of what I've shared so far about the power of what SFTool product search does, going beyond the green procurement compilation. So we start with the federal programs, which are in the top left, and we add EPA's third-party ecolabels and certifications. And we also have access to manufacturer-provided data, which in our system is always noted as manufacturer-provided. And that creates the largest curated database of compliant high-performance products in the market. And we're talking about over 150,000 products, but from 4,500 brands and more than 20 ecolabels and certifications. So what we're going to do now is show you how something that sounds very promising actually works for you to simplify what you need to do as feds, but also not just simplify, but gives you better fidelity or better quality information about what you're actually buying than you might get otherwise, just in a couple clicks. And I should say before we transfer to Paul's part of this presentation, that when I speak to you today, I'm talking about this as SFTool's project manager, but I started my career with GSA over 19 years ago. And my initial work was searching for all the stuff that just drove me crazy to document what it was that I was trying to buy to build some of the earliest sustainable commercial interior projects that GSA did. And at that time, it wasn't just me that couldn't find the documentation. In some cases, it was my manufacturers and retailers that didn't know where to look for this stuff. And so I thought, if I could have all of that just packaged in a solution when I'm searching for something, it would save me a ton of hours and make things really certain that I was buying the right thing. So closing that gap is like a personal thing for me to make sure that we're not just telling you what rules you should follow, but also making following those rules easier than it ever was before. So with that said, Paul, I'll hand the baton to you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I've unmuted everyone, or actually allowed you all to speak. If you have any questions for Michael before we go on about sftool.gov, please unmute yourself or put it in the chat, and we'll be happy to kind of handle it right now while we have it kind of fresh in our minds. If you want, I'll give you guys a minute to acknowledge that you have a question or would like Michael to go over something before I move on. All right. Don't see anyone unmuting, and I don't see anything coming in the Q&A. So then anytime, just please hit us up and we'll go through there. So what we're going to do now is actually going to go to sftool.ecomedes.com and run you guys through the entire process, how it works. It's a simple website organized much like an e-commerce site would be. The only difference here is that we have, if we need assistance with working with the tool or would like help at our agency to use this tool, is this available? Yes. We're happy to do one of these presentations directly for your agency. If you found it useful, you can gather up as many folks as you want. We could kind of repeat this kind of a webinar directly for your agency. And if we understand what your agency is trying to accomplish, maybe buy certain types of products, not every agency kind of does everything within the built environment. So we'd be happy to do that for you guys one-on-one. But essentially, this is a tool available to anyone, any Fed, any vendor, subcontractor, distributor, sales reps. Everyone should be able to use this, and in many instances, we have brands using this to give approving agency folks information. P-card users could use it. If you're out looking for a couple laptops, you buy them on Amazon or whatever pathway you have, you can always go in there. say, hey, this is the Dell monitor that I bought, and find the documentation. We'll cover that today. It's free to create an account. The reason why you want to create an account is that you can actually save your work. That's the main benefit. You can download your stuff, create a project with multiple projects. Products. We'll show you how to do that. It's a powerful tool, though, because it searches and filters results as if somebody already did the consulting work with you. As a consultant for 20 years in the space, what I built is not only just a database, but it actually does the comparisons and analysis and does the documentation of compliance for you. So it's as if you have an intern working next to you all hours of the day, and they'll do the predominant bulk of the work for you. We'll show you guys how you guys can create a project and analyze multiple products. And then also it shows you how to track your overall performance over time. So if you guys have dual monitors, feel free to kind of follow along and go to sftool.ecomees.com and go through the steps. But I'm going to cover some basic functionality with you guys really quickly, just to kind of orientate you about the features and functionality, and then we'll go into the live demo. So the first big thing that Michael covered briefly is that we have the most powerful search engine available to you to look at the entire catalog of products that have been pre-vetted. So one of the analogies a lot of our clients use is that going to this site is like going to Whole Foods if you're going to a grocery store to buy stuff. We've already kind of curated all the things that matter the most, aligned with the product categories found in GPC, the Green Procurement Compilation. We have brand lookups. So you can kind of just type in the brand name GE and find everything that GE makes in appliances that is compliant with refrigerators or dishwashers or whatever you're doing in your break room. All the federal programs are noted: BioPreferred, Energy Star, Water Choice, Water Sense, and Safer Choice. So as if you went to that website, looked through their entire catalog, did all the clicks, all that's done for you. We automatically do that every single month. We gather up new data and present it to you on a monthly basis. So all the data here is refreshed as if you were going out and building these hundreds of spreadsheets that I used to do for a living. Like Michael, we both kind of found each other in kind of a self-help group. It seems like, we wanted to kind of make it easier for ourselves, but also then share this tool out with everybody else. We then have a lot of EPA recommendation specification standards and eco-labels, everything from BIFMA, cradle to cradle. If it is mentioned in the GPC and there is a database that's available publicly, we have created a data partnership with that group, and we're pulling all that data in just like we do with Energy Star and Water Sense. So there's a lot of product data coming in from those. And we also have some additional high performance filters for things that are mentioned within SFTool, but maybe aren't discreetly referenced as a subset within the EPA recommendations. So things like health product declarations, EPDs around the carbon footprinting of products, FSC, GSA contracted products have a link in some of the products there. So you can kind of find a plethora of elements there. And if you are working as a project manager, I saw some of you indicate that, we have CSI divisional work there that you can kind of go in via CSI division. But all those are openable. And in the parentheses after that filter, that is the number of products that meets that. So if you look at a product category, appliances 8,100, that means that there's 8,100 active appliances that have been vetted for compliance. If you look at a brand like a GE, there's 428 appliances, or 382 products from Herman Miller, or 784 products from Kohler. All those brackets basically tell you how many products are available at the end of that search evaluation. What we've done is we created a way to deliver those results with one click. As you filter on the left-hand navigation, which would be building furnishings, then furniture, then seating, then task seating, what happens is we start at about 8,000 products. And by the time you've done all those clicks, you will have ended up with 800 or 699 results. So all that data is summarized for you. And now you can see that we've actually summarized how many products in that subset of seating task have cradle to cradle or BIFMA level. So every time you filter, you'll notice that the things in parentheses, the number of products at the end of that certification or brand listing, will get smaller and smaller because you're refining your searches. And then that allows you to kind of look at things apples to apples. If you were to ask how many products in this entire list of task seats have a linked GSA contract, there's 15 products that have it. 11 products have an HPD and 11 products have an EPD. 69 products are Green Guard certified, 15 have Declare, 161 meet SCS Indoor Advantage Gold. So again, that consulting is kind of built in and baked into this process because we want to make it really easy for you to meet your compliance, but also once you've met your compliance, which is all these results, you can always maybe make it a better procurement or a better session to be available. We will make this recording available and we'll send it out to you along with the slides after the presentation. One of the powerful things that we do on the back end of our system is we actually track the links to the other documentation. What we don't want to do is like bring these PDFs or these downloadable things and hold them on a server, because eventually these things all change hands. They get updated, they get revised, they get expired. So what we do is we actually provide you the links within the product detail pages directly to all those sources. So you can go back to the manufacturing site. You might be able to pull up their lead submittal documentation, the product website, the declare certificate, all of it links that we can make active and dynamic for you. They'll be in blue with an underline, so you'll know that these are active hyperlinks. That'll play an important role too when you guys print the documentation, because all these active hyperlinks will be live in the PDF that you share with the rest of your team as part of your documentation. So it's not just live on the website when you pull up a product page. These hyperlinks will live on if you were to share that PDF with someone else on your project team or your procurement team.
Right. And to add to that, when we say someone else on your project or procurement team, we're also talking about the subcontractors that need to follow our requirements. This is a tool that they can use to make their lives easier and actually deliver your projects exactly what's compliant and do so in a way that doesn't add to their workload. So the same tools that we're talking about now are useful for them. Again, they're free and open to use, and for your government project teams.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mike. So because we have that data and we have that data organized, what happens is apples to apples comparisons can be very easily done. So here's 4 seating products out of that same result set of task seating. One's from Sit On It, one's from Herman Miller, Human Scale, and OFS. And if you were to pull all these products up, and I'll show you how to build a comparison window, all the data that we have, not every product has every single data attribute, but every product attribute will be lined up in a row, so you don't have to go make this. We've been doing some interviews, and a lot of folks have been doing this kind of by hand or building their own spreadsheets. It's all this data is dynamically changing, so we make it really, really easy for you to be able to not only create that, but I'll show you how to grab the URL of your comparison active, and you can actually drop that into an email. And if you wanted to share this for comparison lineup with somebody else on the team, or a vendor wants to share it with you to double check that what they're promoting or proposing is correct, they can actually share that URL, and then dynamically will generate for any user that clicks on that URL link. And then finally, with one click, you can actually say, I want to know how this human scale product meets federal guidelines. So in this little button here, it's very small to see, we'll see in the live demo, it says document contributions. We have a pull down menu of all the green building rating systems in North America: LEED, WELL, Living Building Challenge, and Green Globes. But the very top of this list is federal guidelines. So it'll evaluate the GPC rules for building furnishings furniture and make sure that one or more of those data elements is compliant, so that you don't have to kind of rack your brain about whether or not the data is found in this product page. We know that there's a lot of training, and there's 703 category rules, so that'd be a long time to train all your buyers. Here, if it's on the site, it's automatically going to be compliant, but here they can actually get that extra bit of proof and run a calculation and documentation. I'll tell them that's compliant. They can also, if you wanted to know how green a product is across a green rating system, you can also select green rating system, and we'll evaluate all this data across the rating system like LEED, commercial interiors. So you can do this as many times as you want. Again, it's that baked in consulting that happens within the platform, again, for anyone to use, so that not only the data is easy to find, but you can attribute that data to your compliance needs. 2 other little things just to mention is things that are related to energy consumption, primarily appliances and lighting right now, and plumbing. We have these little baked in calculators where we'll take all the consumption data, in this case Energy Star, and we'll make it easy for you to run a very simple rough order of magnitude savings analysis on kilowatts savings potential, dollar savings potential, based on this light bulb using only 19 watts of energy. You can kind of configure how many operational hours a day your facility is operating. And there's some folks on the call from VA, so that might be a 24-hour cycle. Some of you working in a more office environment could be a 12-hour cycle, but you can actually put that in there, and we'll run the calculations for 100 of these light bulbs and automatically generate you a savings ROI graph. So it makes it easier to maybe justify some of those energy savings targets you might have at your agency or on your campus. This is an easy way to kind of say this light bulb purchase will help me with those kilowatts reduced, but also a dollar and cents kind of a break-even analysis. We do the same thing with plumbing. If you're retrofitting your restrooms, you want to go after some water savings, same thing. In this case, we don't do operational hours, we do occupancy. So male and female occupancy will generate a calculation. We'll take this toilet's flush rate and apply it to the number of people. You can put in the number of times a day you want to model them going to the restroom, a water rate and sewer cost, and then ultimately how many toilets you need to retrofit. It'll do the same calculation, but in this case, it'll be gallons converted to dollars and cents. So show you a little simple break even. You can adjust whatever years of analysis you want, 5, 10, 15, doesn't matter. And we'll just basically, again, do the math for you, just like we do the documentation for you. And ultimately, the last feature that we'll show you in the live demo in a minute is you can actually build an entire project. So here you can kind of say, I want to create a project. This is just named, demo project 2017. Put it in there, give us a little bit of the information that you want to save, and then add as many products that you're going to do in that either that procurement or that project. And we'll basically analyze all the products, all those ingredients at once, and be able to do the documentation against the GPC guidelines or LEED or ROI in any case you want. So again, kind of put them all into a big bucket of evaluation, click one button, and just as quickly you'll have the output that'll show you exactly what you've achieved. So total project cost, subtotals for every product, and then I'll have a breakdown of the different various credits that you've accomplished or the GPC categories you've accomplished. Again, you can do this ultimately as many times as you want. There's no limit. Once you create an account on our site, you can create as many projects, evaluations, scheme 1, scheme 2, or design option A, design option B. You can analyze that and you can keep pressing the button and it'll do all the documentation and paperwork as much as you want. So with that, I'm going to start off poll number 2, which is, we've covered a couple big major features. Love to hear what your thoughts are on which feature maybe struck your fancy the most. So I'm going to start the polling and go into the functional overview. It's just one question, and it would be great if you guys could give us a feedback loop on which feature do you find most interesting. You can do multiple choice in this, so we'll normalize your answers across the board. But if you can kind of give us maybe your top 3 features that would have been most helpful to help you if you were to use this tool, say later today or tomorrow, that would be great for us. Give you guys a minute to do that. We'll cover all the features in depth one by one now in the live demo. Thank you guys for great participation. You guys are doing awesome. Very helpful. I'll give you guys 15 more seconds. Thank you for 77% participation. Very well done. All right. Oh, 88. All right. I'll end the poll now and share the results with you guys. Michael, can you guys see the results?
Yes, we can.
All right. Awesome. So it looks like product comparisons, apples to apples, that actually tracks with the last training we did too. That seemed to be a very important feature. And we've got search catalog and curated catalog is another high thing, and then filtration by Ecolabel certification. So that is really good feedback. Thank you guys. So if you guys want to follow along and go to live demo, please, feel free to go right to sftool.ecomuse.com. There's no need for a www. Just type it as you see it. And it's a very straightforward platform. We wanted to make it as easy as possible to navigate. Love to get your feedback on how well that we did on that task. But we're going to start off with a very simple step. If you guys wouldn't mind, you guys have been such great participants in the poll. I'd ask you if you guys would just like to go in and just create an account. If you have a dual monitor, you can do that. You can minimize maybe the screen for a second and just go put in your name, put in your email address and password. It's a very straightforward way. And like I said, what that allows you to do is to save your work and be able to do this work and kind of go back and maybe edit a quantity, edit a unit price. Also, your vendors can do that as they're kind of going through maybe the RFQ stages with you as well. And once you've done that, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to do that, and you log in, what you'll see is you'll see a couple changes of the screen. One, you'll see my name or your name in the upper right-hand corner. That lets you know that you're logged in. Again, we're not going to spam you. We're not going to go send a bunch of tracking, bots to your email. We just want to be able to understand where to put your work on the server so you guys can go back and find it. And it opens up this new box right here that's called projects. And this is where all my work gets to get stored. So I'll kind of start in reverse. You know, what I always wanted to know is how much energy and water I saved all my clients. And it was one of my dreams for the first 10 years of my career. I always kind of kept a scratch pad, then eventually a spreadsheet. But here what I have is with one click, I have all the gallons saved by my active projects that I'm working on and all the energy that's saved by all the products. So this is assuming that all the projects that are down below are real and that they got done. They would support this much savings for my federal client. And it also would deliver the kind of savings that I have estimated here. So what we're doing is converting kilowatts to dollars, gallons to dollars, and I call this the watts and waters dollars and cents dashboard. So it's kind of like an old school video art game. This is my tracking, my gamification. And down below are all the projects. So if I go down here and look at a GSA example from the 422 training, here's some drywall. Maybe I was renovating a break room. Refrigerator, I need to go get a bunch of break room refrigerators for the 10 break rooms in our space. I bought a bunch of lights, and then I even bought some glass cleaner. And if I put that into, it's very kind of an odd project, but let's just say I did all that, put in the prices. I could actually see the energy savings from the 2 light bulbs and the things that we were looking at. So I can kind of take a look at when break even happens and convert those dollars to cents. But down below, I can actually say I want to look at all those products against federal guidelines, LEED, and well, just for giggles. And I can go hit evaluate, and there's the $55,000 project, my 4 different products that I bought based on the pricing that I have, and 3 of these products are going to be compliant. So lighting fixtures are all compliant, the residential refrigerator is compliant, the wallboard, gypsum, and drywall is compliant. And down below, if I were to go after certification, I'm also compliant with some LEED and Living Building Challenge credits. I have a summary of my energy impacts. And down below, I see all those product pages that I saw individually, and all the details are available, including all those hyperlinks. I can hide the details and just look at the basic summary. How much did I buy? How much did I spend? What was compliant with what? But all this information was generated in a couple of seconds. And if I do want to download that PDF, I can have that system generate it for me. So I can attach that to my PO or my project plan, or however you want to document or need to document it. That will take everything on that website and put it in a nice little bucket for you, date stamped at the bottom right here, so you know when it was generated on. And all the detailed data for all those products remains active. So this product specific EPD, if I needed someone to see it, they could open up this PDF, and with one click, they would be provided that EPD as if they went out and took the 18 clicks on the website to go find it on the UL platform. So it's a very, very straightforward way of kind of saving your work. And that's really the benefit of why hopefully some of you guys went on there and create an account, is that you can save all this work in a kind of a very easy, neat way. And then be able to generate very quickly, well, what were the products? What was the total cost? The impacts that I might have had, some estimated savings for that project. And then whatever standards I evaluated that purchase against, probably federal guidelines would be the default. But if you ever did something else, you have the ability to see that all at once. And if you run across a project you don't need anymore, you can always just delete it and it'll be taken off your log. So that'll be removed out of this kind of gamification board. So I'm going to start kind of at the start. If you have logged in, you'll see your name up there in the upper right-hand corner, and I'll kind of cover those search filtration options first and foremost. So if I was searching by product category, I can open up that little plus bar, or I can just search directly by the image. So it's very, very straightforward to see what you're looking at and what you need to go find. So if I was looking for, say, building furnishings, I could click the picture, then go down into furniture, and now I kind of see the subtypes. So I can go everything from accessories to case goods to healthcare to seating to tables or systems. I clicked on seating. Now I have even a subtype open up. Just a very intelligent search. You can only find the next nested search based on the data that's in our system. And if we went again to that stacking or task stage, now I've got 703 results. So just that quickly with a couple clicks, I now have 703 results. These results meet either the BIFMA level standard, C2C, Declare, SCS, Indoor Advantage, or Green Guard, and some have an EPD and FSC certification. Some 15 have a GSA contract, 11 have an HPD, and 109 are healthier hospital compliant, maybe if you're working on a VA project. So just that quickly, I've grabbed all that data, and I also see how many brands are possible. So if a brand or a vendor was coming to you saying, hey, I'm compliant with task seating, and if they're not on this list, it doesn't mean that they maybe aren't certified, but more than likely, they're going to have to show you all this documentation that somehow didn't make it onto that certification body's website. And I'd be a little bit, hesitant to kind of do that, because we are, again, getting this data directly from those sources on a timely basis. So it's a very quick way to kind of look at things. If you find things in the search that you like, you can actually go in here and say, I would like to add this to a comparison. A little blue thin line got added to this. I'm going to add this other one to the comparison. A little blue thin line got added to that one. We'll go down and find a couple more brands down further in the results. I'll maybe add this one to a comparison, another thin blue line, and we'll add this OFS chair to a comparison. So those are the 4 that we wanted. If you click on view comparison, which you guys said was important, here's that apples to apples view. All 4 of these products are side by side. You have contact information, corporate sustainability links if you needed to see that, environmental advocacy links for 2 of them. Down below, you can see some of them provided manufacturing locations. If you're doing, buy in America, you might want to check that out. This chair is actually made in Jersey, Fresno, California, Dublin, Ireland, and in China. So this one chair from Human Scale is made in 4 different places. So you might want to verify that that one's coming from the 2 US locations. If you need to do the Buy America stuff, recyclability, certifications, again, 3 of these now have a different level. 1 doesn't have one at all. It also tells you level 3, level 2, level 3. All that information is available to you. And right out of this tool, you can actually go and click out and go see that subdivided documentation. So he could pop right out to the cradle certificate, or in this case, the HPD for this other product. So all that detailed linking is available to you at a click. Recycled content, materials, and planet health. One even has the embodied cradle to gate carbon number. So kilograms per year.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So we just showed people how they can sort from the universal list down to those products that comply, and then pick a certain number of products to compare against one another to see their data.
Yeah.
What happens if people have already done some preliminary research and they know that they have a single chair in mind and want to see if that chair by a certain brand or manufacturer actually is compliant? Can they do that?
Yeah, so if you want to just go in here and say you knew the brand name, so you can go in there and say Herman Miller. If you knew the brand name, here's all 189 products that have been sorted by only Herman Miller. So if you knew the name of the chair, you could actually just type that in too. So I know the name of this one's called Aeron. I can just type that in, and I'll also be able to give you a product name, and then I can click that and then end up at the same product. So the keyword search is a little tricky, just because there's a lot of description in the name, and not every time, not every one of the manufacturers has done a really good job of cleaning this up. So if you were to type in like harmonize, right here's harmonizes, then that would also pop up. So it's a little tricky. I would start first off with the brand name. That will get you into the right, kind of locked set of products. So here, if you click on brand name and you do the filter and you see this little X, so that's a filter. You see all 72 products, and that's a faster way to get to what you're looking for than just randomly putting in like something called light, and then I'll probably get a lot of results. 20,000 results have the word light somewhere in their product name or description. So this is a light work by Davis. So that's the one consideration I'd have, is we have 750 or 1,000 products that we have to go to index, and it's really hard to make that really good look good unless you do brand first.
Got it. So if you are using the search bar to interact with SFTool product search, make sure that you start with the formal brand name as precise as you can be, to then be able to search for that to see how the characteristics of that in our tool. And our tool is always getting better at streamlining the information every time that we interact with a manufacturer or a dealer for different products, which are other meetings that Paul and I are doing as well. So, asking that question on your behalf was my way of basically flagging the fact that I know that you have certain processes you're already using, and this currently stands outside of that process. But that's one way you can actually use our tool in your existing process. I think that SFTool product search is a great first place to start for people searching for the universe of compliant products that fit their needs. And I'd like to help make that a first stop for you as well. But until that time, I wanted to show how it interacted with what you already do. Go ahead, Paul.
Sure. Another way you guys have said is, searching by eco-labels. So here again, we take everything from bio-preferred in the product category. So if you click on a rating system like bio-preferred and then click on the categories, you'll see there's 1,145 building finishes that are USDA bio-preferred certified. And then the subcategories pop up, everything from bathroom and spa cleaners to composite panels for acoustical or composite panels general. So these are the naming conventions that you'll find inside of SFTool. And they kind of help you refine the stuff. If you're looking for, say, composite panels, maybe for bathroom fixtures and that. So now you'll have, 123 results, and then you can search by all the different brands that are creating products that meet those guidelines. Some have pictures. You'll notice some do not. Depending on the data source, not all data sources provide us the images. So in this case, bio-preferred is one of those data sources that won't give us an image. But because this product has UL Green Guard certification, we've merged on the back end. We have this artificial intelligence that basically merges and goes, Bradley is the company. This is the name of the product. The same exact name was used both in bio-preferred listing and in the UL Green Guard listing. So that's why we can actually merge this data together. You have contact information, and you have both features, bio-based and UL Green Guard. So you've kind of got, not only is it made out of good raw material stock out of USDA, but it also isn't going to off-gas and create any kind of emissions problems for your product. And UL is the one that gave us the data. So when I hover over this data, you'll see UL gave me this. We also see a date stamp. So the comma before is the source, UL, and this was provided from UL on May 6th of 2021. When I go down here, I'll hover over meets minimum. That's provided by bio-preferred, and that was on the 6th of May as well. So these two were synchronized on that same day and updated. So the bio-preferred stuff, these three pieces of data came from USDA. And then again, UL provided obviously their two certificates with links back to the certificate at the UL Green Guard group. So then it's downloaded your certificate of compliance. So that's another really powerful way that we see a lot of users use it, is just dive right into the eco-label that they're looking for. In some cases, we have kind of a furthering of the eco-label if it's a stratified eco-label. So when I click on C2C certified, you'll notice down below, there's a C2C level subcategory filter, and it'll show you things that are bronze or gold or silver. So if you were only want to look at things silver certified, then that's going to make that a more refined site search. And then you have, building finishes, building furnishings, and construction materials. So every time you do that, you're also now getting less and less in terms of brands. And if you go to furnishings and you click on furniture, now there's only a subset of brands that make furniture that's C2C certified and silver. So we've tried to make this a very, very easy and simple tool to where every time you filter something on the left, the system's going to go do some of that work for you. So you're not out looking at 5 different websites, because if you were to do this without Ecomedes and you wanted to really kind of make sure you looked and researched the entire gamut, you'd have to go to all these websites to go find these products and then circle back to the data. In a lot of cases, you don't have that ability to kind of get apples to apples. So if I got this product and then added this chair from Kielhauer, I can go to a comparison again. It's probably going to add it to all these. So let me remove these other ones that I don't need. And I can look at the two that I found side by side. And now I can see one had level 3, one had silver, this one had the sustainability report. They both had indoor advantage. So that's why they're both equal, but then there's some advantages on this product that has a little bit more detail that might drive you to maybe want to buy that product instead. Another way to take a look at it while we have you guys on the phone is to build that project. So I'm just going to go really quickly into, say, plumbing systems. I want to look at a single flush toilet for a break room, and I'll go to a brand that I know we have good data on from Toto and say I want to take a look at this product. So if I click on this product, I'll see the single flush designation and 1 gallon per flush. It also has an EPD. But here's that little water calculator. So say you were in a building that had 1,000 male and female occupants. I needed a 5-year analysis, and we need 50 toilets in that building to handle the workload, and it's a $350 purchase. It'll give me the breakdown of how many dollars extra I'm paying for the better toilet, and it'll convert all those better flushes to the total amount of savings across that 5-year analysis if there were 1,000 people in the building. If you're doing another project later on, you need to adjust this, you can always go back in here, make an adjustment, and the total scale of savings will be adopted basically on the gallons per flush side of things. You can also adjust the gallons per flush baseline. So if you already had a toilet that was decent in there, maybe a little younger toilet, 1.5 gallon per flush, if I change that, it'll also push the payback curve a little bit further into the future, but tell you generally what day and month, what month and year actually you'll have the break-even point on that product. So if that met your guidelines, you can just say, I want to add this to a project. Here's my existing list of projects, but I can just create a new one and call it GSA Demo 520, 2021. Hit save. I'm gonna go jump in and get a light just to show you guys both at the same time. So I go find a light bulbs, and then there's thousands of results here. So if we want to kind of get narrow into like the kind of we screw into a typical light bulb, this is already being sorted by best lumens per watt. So a lot of times we have a default sort that's going to give you the best performance feature first. So I'm just going to say I like this product and I want to add it to the one I just created. And if I hit save, that's the benefit of having an account. You go to projects, I go to the bottom, here's my demo project. And just that quickly, all the data associated with these two products are in there. So let's just say I wanted those 1,000 lights and I needed those 100 toilets. And I'll put in a price for the light bulbs. Hit save. And then here's my energy impact calculator done for those units. And then I can do my water calculation same way. It's going to be a long time to pay back based on the assumption, but my building has 500 people, 500. And now suddenly my payback's a little bit better. And down at the bottom, I could say, I want to analyze federal guidelines, hit the button. And now both my products meet the guidelines. It meets the single flush toilet requirements, meets the light bulb requirements, my total savings over that 10-year period of $500,000. And it breaks down the gallons and the dollars and kilowatts exactly where I need to be. And all that data is then put into a project folder for you. And if you needed to justify the purchase for watts and water, it could generate that PDF for you just that quickly. So with that, I'll stop and answer any questions you guys have. I know there was a lot of stuff to cover, but the point was just to give you guys a general sense of what the tool can do. We're happy to do an agency-specific demo and show you guys how to get the most out of this tool across your entire usage base. So we have one final poll. So I'm going to stop sharing the poll and go to the last one. Let's see, where is the last one? All right, we have 2 questions for the last poll. Is it live, Michael?
Yeah, we can see it.
So how impactful will SFTool be to your workflow now that you've seen it, assuming that we can do the more in-depth training for you and your team? And then what improvements do you feel SFTool will deliver to you and your team if you guys had it deployed within your procurement / project workflows? And again, we're open to helping you guys analyze that and do the best we can to kind of integrate that workflow into however you're doing it currently. Thank you guys for good participation. That's growing. And we will make the video and the slides available to you guys. The slides that we'll cover and provide you actually go through all those different steps that I kind of quickly demoed today on today's call. And all of you guys have the ability to talk. So if you guys would like to start asking any questions directly to us, feel free. We'd love to have some live interaction before the call ends in 5 minutes. And looks like most of you guys have answered the poll questions. I appreciate it. I'm going to end the poll now and then share you guys the results. Any questions while we have each other on the line? In the email follow-up, we'll have contact information for both Michael and I to all attendees. If you guys want to engage us with a one-on-one training for you and your teams, we'd be happy to do that.
Yeah. thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your engagement on the polls and in listening. As Paul said, feel free to reach out if you have a need for another training. If you feel that the training that you received today is exactly what your team needs, you can use the slides and the recording to satisfy that, or you can ask your teammates or colleagues to register the same way you did. We're doing these through the end of the month. Yes, there is, actually there's a question about whether there's a section for general office supplies. That's a great question. There are office electronics and supplies like paper that have federal environmental requirements, but not requirements for pens, pencils, etc. In terms of what would have them be included in the green procurement compilation at the moment. So for some, yes. For others, there you go, non-paper office products. Am I wrong? Is there pens? No, good. Okay. But there's lots of things, like mostly things that are made from paper or ink and toner.
Yeah.
So that's great. Good question.
Yeah,
Yeah, and do go ahead and play with the tool. Yes, Paul?
No, I was just saying that most of these are related to CPG, so recycled content or bio-preferred content. So most of the stuff, we are talking to a company that does the largest remanufactured toner and inkjet cartridges, and that is one of the requirements here to use those instead of virgin units. So they go in, they recycle them, put in the new ink. The ink that they have is bio-preferred, and also the entire cartridge is counted as a recycled element, so you can kind of save 30%, I think, on cost, but also lower the footprint. Millions of these things get thrown away in the trash every year, so things like that could be really helpful in the office supply market.
I also wanted to invite any of you who want to share your pain points in sustainable procurement in a way that says, well, this is what matters most to me, and you're not yet addressing it. I'd love to hear that, because essentially we've built a tool that we believe will help reduce the pain and increase the success of anybody doing sustainable procurement in federal government and beyond. We believe we're hitting the mark, but if we're missing it anywhere, your feedback really helps us recalibrate. So let us know, and let us know how we can continue to help and engage with your procurement teams. Thank you very much.